Well, welcome back once again to Resurrecting the Dinosaurs. Doing the Roundhouse Project Part 3. As you can see, I've got the lower concrete apron already painted all the way around the building, plus the apron that leads out to the turntable section. What we're going to do in this episode is paint the roof and the tile caps. I figure the tile caps were probably either painted black or, were steel when they were put up there and they just turned black, from the rust. That's completely possible. Put a little rust on them anyway to make them look good. As you can see, the roundhouse is beginning to look a heck of a lot better, isn't it? It looks a whole lot worse than its regular plain plastic. So, with that in regard, let's get started. What you're going to need is some float wool weathered black, since we weren't able to get to it in the last episode. So you'll need float wool weathered black, and of course you'll need your thinner again. I always, even though I'm using an old brush thinner bottle, it's got straight lacquer thinner in it. I use lacquer thinner in all my paints, all of my petroleum-based paints, whether they be lacquer or enamel. You can use lacquer thinner with them. It will thin it just fine, and the paints will work just fine. One person asked, why didn't I take and actually shoot the concrete on the floor? I normally would have done that because I'd have done that before I had built the roundhouse. But because that didn't, because I bought the roundhouse already built, taking it apart really would probably be a lot more destructive than what I want to be, if you get my drift. So let's get started. Okay, to get started, I'm going to situate this building where I can work with it. Most buildings are hollow on the bottom, not this one. Let me get everything situated where I've got the camera just right. And you can sit here and watch me paint the roof and the tile caps. I'm getting the paint mixed right now. We're mixing it again. Don't you just love float wool paints? They charge like $4.95 a bottle for this crap. Yet, it produces the colors you want, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. Okay. Nice thing about a roof, for most of that nice flat surface, you can just get the paint right on there. But you want to be careful, a little careful, of course, because you don't want to end up with it just about everywhere, do you? I've got 3 of these roof panels. This is a 3-stall roundhouse. You get 1 roof section per stall. When we start doing, when we bring in the episodes for Weathering 101 on this particular building, and we will, of course, then I will start showing you how to actually weather the top, even though we're using what's called weathered black to do this with. It's still going to require some dirt and grime up here, because dirt and grime ends up everywhere. There's just no way to get around that. Then you got 3 smaller roof panels down here that also need painting, plus the tile caps. It's not a difficult task to do at all. As you can see, I've gotten this painted. And it's probably something that most of you know how to do out there, especially you experienced modelers. Now, the reason we're painting the roof first, instead of, say, the wall here, because we can get a little bit of the paint from the roof on the wall, and it's a little easier to do the fine work on the wall than it is to try to nudge up in there with the roof line. And it's okay if you get, see, there's brick detail on the inside here. It's okay if you get a little bit of roof tar or weathered black in there, and it'll just look like the roof tar had crept up in the corner. So it doesn't really hurt a thing. And we'll come back to this here in a little bit when I've got it mostly done. Okay, as you can see, I've got most of the roof done, and I've got one side of the caps done. And I'm going to show you how the rest of the caps are done. They're really easy. The caps are generally pretty easy to paint. Like I said, for most of you, this is probably just rehashing some techniques you're already aware of and probably already use on a regular basis. I'm going to just go ahead and continue with the weathered black on these caps. But as you can see, you just simply paint the caps. Start on the top, and you come on up to the edge. Then you work on painting their edges. They should be sticking out a little bit if it was built correctly. Again, like I said, this is a Resurrection. So when we do a Resurrection, we're working with something that somebody else has usually already built. And that's just the way things are sometimes. Now I like to go ahead and blacken up those very hard edges back there, and it does, it softens it up later. Like I said, it's not an overly difficult task to do it this way. Now in the next episode, we're going to cover painting the windows, and I've got to try to match that green if I want to leave them green. And I'm almost forced to, because again, the person who built it has already installed the glass. See, this model was completely unpainted when I got it. So since the glass is already installed, what we want to do is just basically do touch-up work on these windows and we want to paint the doors, of course, especially the front roundhouse doors, and these doors here, and then these handrails on the steps leading down. And that will bring up all of the detail painting. So until next time, in the next episode, which will be number 4 of this series, once we have all of that done, all the detail paint work done, then we're going to be ready to come in and we'll put it into a different program called Weathering 101. Until next time, happy railroading.